I forgot my paper. Okay, so this video is originally recorded as a Facebook Live. If you are watching this on YouTube, I will load after I'm done with the live. If you're watching this on YouTube and you don't care to rewatch Facebook Lives, then you don't have to watch. So I know a lot of people don't care to rewatch Facebook Lives on YouTube, and that's fine. But this tutorial is for the people who want to learn how to do this stuff. So if you don't see this little red box, I think I'm pointing in the right corner for you, then I'm no longer live. And I'm just getting my tools out. Give a few people a chance to hop on since I'm a couple of minutes after I said I would be. And I'm going to try to go ahead and flip the screen. So when I flip myself, it'll be right. So I'm gonna wait just a second for a couple of people to get on. And while we're waiting, I'm gonna go over the materials one more time. And I'm gonna make a little note of them. So when I turn the camera down, you can see what I'm using. So for those of you who maybe have forgotten a couple of things, you can run and grab those before we hop to it. So I mentioned in the event that I use these tools, these nail dotting tools. I posted a link for you guys. I'll try to put that also in the YouTube description. And it had all these in it. I don't use these for this design, but I do use these when I'm doing the mandalas, however you say it, on the tumblers. But for this one, I will probably use this one with the biggest circle on top. And then this one with the second biggest. Oh, I don't even know, honestly. These, these. I'm gonna use this end of them, the smaller end of the big one, and then the bigger end of the small one. They're kind of the same size, but they're a little different. So I'm only gonna use those two. Let's see. I have my silver Sharpie for drawing my line on my tumbler, as well as the tape for taping it off. I have two 20 ounces I'm doing. I've primed white. It doesn't matter if it's flat, satin, gloss, doesn't matter. I actually originally wrote 3 different glitter colors than what I'm going to use tonight. I've gotten a couple of orders for these, so I'm going to do the colors for those orders tonight, and I'll share those with you when we get to them. I am going to do 2 tumblers, and they're going to be back to back. So if you watch the first one and you got it, you're good to go. If you come in late and it's during the live, then you can catch up with the second one. I used 3 colors because I think doing more than 3 kind of clutters it a little bit. One of them is going to be kind of like a darkish pink red, a light pink, and then I dropped my lid and I don't want to get it. This is a silver. So this is going to be one of them. So I try to use acrylic paints that best match my colors. And like I said, this is how I do it. If you find an easier way, then good for you, do it your way. So I've got my 3 acrylic paints that kind of match my 3 glitters I'm going to be using, my nail dotting tools, my silver Sharpie, my tape. Husband is not doing this with me, no guys. A paintbrush, and a couple of cups of water to rinse my paintbrush. And then I can't find paper towels, so I've got toilet paper to wipe my paint off of my dotting tools. So like I said in the beginning, if you don't really care to watch Facebook Lives, I will say that I will be answering and responding to questions while I'm doing this live. So if you don't like that, feel free to mute me if you want to. So I'm going to pull up this live on my iPad so I can see what you guys are saying while I'm making some tumblers. If I can find it, and then we will get to business. Hi everybody. I can't, let me see. Oh, thank you, Christina. It's just a bunch of glitter. Story of my life. Here I am. Let me make sure that I can't hear myself because I don't want to. Okay, so I've been live for just under 6 minutes, so I'll be sure to add that little thing at the top of my list, or whatever, in my post. So if you want to fast forward, you can. I will say, for those of you that are hard of hearing, I will, when I load this to YouTube, I've been told that they have a closed caption. So I'm gonna try to figure that out. So since you're not going to be seeing my face while I'm working, I will try my best to add the closed caption when I put this on YouTube, for those of you. So anyway, I'm going to maneuver this around a bit. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. To my work area. This tripod. There we go. I want to make sure everything is tight so it's not going to move. There we go. Now you guys can see all my mess. I'm going to kind of keep tabs on what we're doing here. Let me flip this around so, oh, that's not a pen. Okay, so let me flip this. Is that right? Y'all just be patient with me. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of try to keep up with the steps right here where we are, so if you're just popping in, you'll kind of know what you missed. I'm gonna turn my fan off. So I know a lot of people said they were coming tonight. I'm not gonna wait for everybody. I am gonna put a little disclosure. So about roughly 7.5 minutes in is when we start. So when I mark my tumblers, a lot of people do it different ways. I've seen people having popsicle sticks taped to their markers to mark a straight line. I don't do that. I always eyeball it. So if you ever order multiple dotted tumblers from me at different times, it's not going to be on the same level. But I think that just adds to the uniqueness of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stack 2 of my glitter containers on top of one another. I'm going to lay my Sharpie on top of it, and I'm going to take my primed tumbler and I'm going to put it to where it's resting gently against the Sharpie. And as I'm holding the Sharpie in place, I'm going to turn my tumbler, and it's going to give me a straight line. And I use silver because it's the easiest to kind of cover up with the paints. You don't really have to worry about covering it up like you do the black with multiple layers of paint. Or you can use a book. And now I'm going to take my painter's tape, doesn't matter what size, probably too short, I just did. And I'm going to follow right above the line that I drew. That way I'm guaranteed to cover that line with my paint. And since I am using a tumbler that is not completely the same size all the way up, it's not as skinny, even the skinnies aren't the exact same size all the way up, it's gonna make my tape sort of, what do you call it, kind of overlap a little bit. And that's okay, because I will show you how I keep that from, oh my goodness, hindering me. My tape's only doing this because I'm live, because I'm sharing with you guys. And I will be repeating myself quite a bit through here. I just really like the Facebook Lives because I like interacting with everybody. That's why I don't do these lives specifically on, or that's why I don't record myself and then upload it as a video. I like interacting with you guys and answering questions live. Okay, so I got my tape on. I am pressing with these two fingers on the bottom because that's where my line is going to be, because I'm going to paint this bottom. And I'm just pressing to make sure that it's got a good grip on my cup. So I am going to teach a couple of different things with this. Some of you might know these already, and that's fine. Some of you might not. So I'm going to take my paper, I'm going to kind of fold it up to make it a little thicker, and I'm going to put my paints on this. So the first one that I showed you was the pink, and silver. If you have glitters from me, I'm using Charlie Rose, Briar Rose, and Silver Me Timbers. And I typically like to use the bold color for the bottom color of my cup. But honestly, it's whatever colors you want to do, or whatever colors your customer wants to do. So I have my acrylic paint. I'm going to shake this up, and I'm going to apply my acrylic paint on the bottom. So this is sort of like base coating, except I'm not spray painting. I'm using acrylic paints because I don't want my spray paint to get on my white top. I want the top to stay white. So I'm going to actually put the paint directly on the cup, and I'm going to put a layer of paint around the cup on the bottom. And I'm just going to paint it on with my paintbrush. It does not have to be a super thick layer whatsoever. If you have a transparent glitter that you're putting on the bottom, you just want to make sure that you have an even layer. This glitter that I'm using on the bottom is not transparent, it is opaque. Therefore, I don't need a perfectly even layer, but I'm still going to try to get everything covered, especially in this little break of the cup at the bottom. So I have seen some of you mention using electrical tape, using an X-Acto knife. Those are perfectly awesome suggestions. So really, it's whatever you fancy for this cup. I am only showing you guys how I do it. And the thinner the layer of paint, the faster it dries. And I don't want this to be a super lengthy tutorial tonight. I'm sure you guys don't either. And don't forget your bottom. I do glitter the bottoms because people drink them and you will see the bottom. So I make it all pretty. The paint doesn't really matter, and honestly this paint is not anywhere close to the color that's going to go on it. I did not want to put red because this is actually a red-pink mix. So the reason that I base coat as close to the color of glitter as I can is just on the off chance that my glitter coverage is not 100%. The color that you will see shine through is going to be very close to that color, so it won't be that noticeable. Obviously with this one it's going to be a little different for the bottom, but I really don't anticipate not having great coverage. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do kind of quickly. I put my paint on there. I know it is not dry at all yet, but I'm going to go over one more time. And before my paint dries, I'm going to apply my glitter. So I'm going to do it kind of quickly. I'm going to move these other ones out of the way, so I don't want to mix them. But I'm doing it this way and using my paint as an adhesive instead of using Mod Podge, so it's less wait time. And you can get a lot more done in the same amount of time. So, like I said, I have good coverage. This will make it a little thick, and that's fine. It's not going to be super, super, super thick, but at least I know that I have all of my white base coat covered on the bottom, so I don't chance white showing through this darker glitter color. And like I said, I also do the bottom of mine. You don't have to do the bottom of yours. Also, I found out the hard way that you can get acrylic paints in store at Walmart for 50 cents. But if you buy them online, they're 3 times as much. So don't buy them online. Buy them at Walmart in the store. All right, so I'm pretty sure that I have wet paint all over this bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with this bottom. And please, please, if you are using glitter, obviously, use paper underneath it so you can catch it and you can put it back in your glitter container. So I am just pouring my glitter over this cup. And I'm going to pour this back into my container. And I'm going to make a mess, obviously. So let me put my cup down. I just want to make sure that I don't have any missed spots because I do not do 2 layers of glitter on this cup at all. It makes it super thick and it makes it potential to be splotchy, and I just don't like it. I also don't like using that much glitter when I don't have to. So a lot of you hit your cup like this to get it off. That's fine. I have found that actually taking, it's kind of loud. I don't have any of my glass jars around, but I'll take my glass jar and I'll tap it at the top and it makes everything fall off real quick. I don't have my glass jar, so I'm gonna use another tumbler. It's loud, sorry. And I think there's one spot that I missed right there. No, I do not feel like I use more glitter doing it on top of paint than I do on top of Mod Podge. I don't use spray adhesive. Into the wet paint, Colleen, yes, the wet paint will act as your adhesive, so you don't have to use Mod Podge and wait longer. And acrylic paint dries faster. Okay, so I'm also trying to keep up with your comments, everyone. Now that I have that on, I'm not doing any other colors on the bottom. So I'm going to take off my tape. And now you have the bottom portion done to your cup. This color is, this is Charlie Rose from my shop. I don't know if, here, because I can't keep this lid here. That is Charlie Rose. So while I still have my, I'm gonna mark on myself. Good grief. While I still have my glitter out, I'm gonna go ahead and use my dotting tools. Honestly, it doesn't matter which size you use with these dots. However big or small you want the dots to be, it's your choice. I'm gonna get the one with the biggest circle on it, and I'm gonna use the opposite side. And I'm going to also use my, I did not seal my white. I have not sealed a single thing. I'm also going to use my paint to do the dots on the top instead of Mod Podge. So I'm going to put a little bit of paint on my paper. I'm going to tap my paper to kind of get my paint to lay a little flatter. And I'm going to kind of work a little quickly. I only do about 3 to 5 dots at a time. That way no part of the dot dries before I can get my glitter on it. All right, I have, it's kind of, it's not a crimson color, it's a red and pink mix. It is a little darker. but it's a red and pink mix. It's not necessarily maroon. I would definitely not say it's maroon though. So now I'm going to dip my dotting tool in the paint one time. I'm gonna do about 3 to 5 dots. I'm gonna put my tool down, I'm gonna pour the glitter over it, tap it off, and then I'm gonna go to the next one. And as you can see, just straight down in the paint. My paint is not level right now. When I dot, the more I dot, the smaller the dots get. And see what happens when your paint's not level. Not even, rather. I'm gonna dot, and the more you dot before you dip again, the less paint, or sorry, the smaller the dots will be. This paint is a little thick. I didn't water it down at all. There we go. To get the smaller dots. There we go. You could probably get away with doing more. I just don't want to chance any part of my dot drying before I get my glitter on it because I don't do 2 layers. Oh, you can't see what I was doing? Sorry. Oh, I see what you're doing, same. So I have my paint just on this paper. It's kind of a thick paint, so it doesn't lay flat when you put it on there. So what I did, since I don't really care to stop and water it down right now, I kind of swirled it to kind of make it even. And then I'm dotting to the side to be sure my dots will be dots and not really weirdly shaped shapes. And I always do my first dot up against the part that I just glittered on the bottom, up against this line to give it that ombre look where it's fading upward. Let's see if my camera was... Is that a little bit better? I don't know what all you guys want to see without being completely sideways. So, well, I am just putting paint on my tool and adding the dots. That's all I'm doing. You could put them as close together, as spaced out, wherever your heart desires. I did post a glitter vinyl method the other day. You can use that for this, but I don't. Only because, like I said, it's faster to do it this way with the acrylic paints. And I just go around my tumbler with my dots. I don't have music playing because I'm afraid that Facebook's going to get me in trouble. And it's super hot in here. Forgive me, I really need my fan on. Okay. The cup is just going to be a dotted ombre cup. I actually sent the last one I had on hand out today. These are for new orders, so I don't have a finished product to show you right offhand. And I am just applying the paint to my dot tool and dotting. And I go all the way around the cup. I try not to do a ton of dots because I'm going to add 2 more colors worth of dots. And I don't want it to be super crowded on the top of the cup. So what I'm doing right now is on my paper I have acrylic paint. I just try to get the paint close to the color of glitter I'm using. I didn't want to use a red because I don't want it to look super dark if my paint isn't completely covered with the glitter. So this is actually a red-pink mix, so I'm using a pink paint. I bought my dot tools off Amazon. So I'll be sure to post links to everything so y'all can get you some. Honestly, this is a very relaxing design in my opinion. There's no particular way to do it. No one is the same as another. And it just really adds to the uniqueness of the handmade item. Yes, I did say where everything is from. So, I got a really wonky dot, and that's okay. I'm going to leave it because I'll show you how I will fix that later. I'm almost done, and as you can see here, where the tape was kind of not flat, some of the paint got underneath the tape, so I'm just going to put a couple of dots there. No big deal. This live will be saved in the group so you can watch it later, and it will also be added to YouTube so we can find it easily. I know with one of the Facebook updates, some of our previous lives went missing, so I made a YouTube channel to avoid just not having those lives in here at all. So this is it. You guys get to watch me put paint dots on a tumbler. How exciting. That's what y'all signed up for tonight. The bottom of the cup is painted with acrylic paint to cut down on dry time and thickness. Instead of doing a base color and Mod Podge and then glitter, I just did my base color and glittered on it while it was still wet. So I was just kind of in a hurry one day, and I really honestly just didn't want to wait for my Mod Podge because it takes a little bit of time. And I've worked with acrylic paints plenty of times before, and I know that they dry pretty quickly. So I thought I would try to see if I could use my acrylic paints as an adhesive instead of doing multiple layers and then using Mod Podge, and it worked perfectly. So now I'm going to switch to a smaller dotting tool. Let me get my hand out of here and clean up this mess I made. Okay, Colleen, I see your comment. I'm not sure what you said. I must have missed it, so. Yeah, there's so many of you in here and commenting right now. Okay, so I am going to get my pretend paper towel, aka toilet paper, and just wipe the paint off the bottom of this. Oh, I forgot to put my paintbrush in water so it doesn't dry. Good grief. And once again, my pretend paper towel. If you're using a paintbrush, one thing I see a lot of people do with paintbrushes is when you're drying them, they'll squeeze the paintbrush and they'll pull against the bristles. Don't do that because you're gonna destroy your paintbrush. You squeeze, but you don't pull. Pull as in P-U-L-L. All right, so I'm still in my first color. I just want a few more smaller dots on the top. So I'll use this smaller one. really whatever your heart desires. And I will do a couple of dots here and there. And remember, you're putting 2 other colors on this, unless you're just doing a single color. So you don't really want to do, actually I want a smaller one. I'm going to use this smaller one, the bigger one of the smallest one, if that makes sense. So if you're just doing 1 color, dot away. I like using 3 colors because it's not too busy, and it gives it nice color variation. So, oh, my air conditioner is on. It's gonna blow my glitter everywhere. And if you have seen my cups before, I use a very girly script font that's very long and short, so it fits up in the top for a name. And the reason I do that is because the focus of the cup is not the name, it's the design. So I have the design cover most of the cup. Yeah, I'm going to be putting a name on this one. This was for an order. She hasn't paid yet, so I really shouldn't be making it, but it is what it is. I just really like the color selection. So I'm going to clean off my dotting tools. More than 5, I know y'all caught me. And I'm going to move to the second color. Now, on a regular day, when I'm not doing a live and there are not a billion people in here watching me, I will let this completely dry, and then I will take a paintbrush and I will dry brush, which just means I'll brush like I'm brushing it and get all the excess glitter off, and then I'll save whatever falls off, and then I'll do the next color, wait a little bit for that to dry brush again, do the last color. But I don't want you guys sitting in here forever. So I'm going to blow away my glitter. I use Charlotte font. Okay, so it's not going to be beautiful until I dry brush, so it will look really crazy while I'm putting my other colors on, and that's okay. So I'm going to use my next color, which is Briar Rose. And I just have a soft pink acrylic paint for this one. Dotting tools are from Amazon. Here, let me do this. I'm gonna put my lid on this. That did not work. This is a marker board I have under here. Okay, there you go, guys. All right, so next color is my light pink. Yes, I am using paint instead of Mod Podge, so paint can act as my base and my adhesive. And so I'm not putting multiple layers and then glitter, so it's not going to be as thick as it would be otherwise. Which means I'm not going to put my base pink, and then I'm not going to put Mod Podge on top of that and then glitter it. I'm just going to, for lack of better terms, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You can use them for clay, you can use them for dot art, for nail art. The Charlotte font, I paid for it. I'm honestly not sure. I'm a font hoarder, so I have a bajillion fonts. Okay, so for you guys who've been here for a while, you see how this second paint just spread itself out and made this really beautiful circle? My first one didn't do that because it's super thick. So this is perfect. This is perfect for what we want. We don't have to try to lay it out flat or anything. So as I said before, in a perfect world, I would wait until all of this completely dries and then I would dry brush it and get all this off. But for the sake of the live not being super long, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna dot on top of this and I'm gonna pour this on my dot and that's it. So I'm going to go stand over my garbage real quick and I'm gonna tap my cup to get as much loose glitter off as possible so I'm not making a huge mess and I'm not mixing a lot of my darker glitter in with my smaller glitter. So it's gonna be loud, sorry. Okay. So this is what I have. And I'm going to start dotting with my next pink. The glitters are mine. Who laughed at you? That's not very nice. You can use whatever colors you want, honestly. I really like my stuff, so I'm going to use my stuff. So I am just dotting randomly. And don't be shy with your glitter. You want to make sure that you get glitter on your dots. I'm trying to do it where you guys can see. This is upside down for me, so be nice. Natalie, if you want to get rid of comments during the live, you swipe the comments, I believe, to the right, and they will disappear. So when I do the other colors, I don't overlap the other colors on top of this line. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't really care to do it because I want it to look like these lighter colors are behind the darker color, if you get me. But I do overlap dots sometimes, and that's okay. So I just remind you with acrylic paints, they do dry pretty fast. So you don't want to go around and do all the dots where you want the dots and then try to put your glitter on, because everything would have dried by then. Most everything would have dried by then. And then you would just have to go around and do another layer of either paint or adhesive on top of it, and it would make your dots super thick. You want your dots as flat as possible so you can get away with just 2 layers of epoxy and your cup won't be super heavy and you won't have to do any sanding whatsoever. The lighter pink is called Briar Rose. It's kind of a mix of a few different pinks. It's one of my favorites. The biggest suggestion that I could give all of you for doing this is to just be patient. This is not something that you need to rush to do. You just have to have a lot of patience. I use, the epoxy that I use is from Alumilite. It's Amazing Clear Cast. And actually, we have a coupon code through the end of October of 2018. It's Teacups, the letter T, C-U-P-S, 15% off, the percent sign. I'll write it down in a second, and it's all capital. So, if you were here, for those of you who have been here for a while, if you saw me make this really ugly circle, where is it? It's like a deformed circle. This is how I fix it. I just put a circle with another color right beside it. Kind of overlap them a little bit, and then you'll never tell. So let me write that code down because I will forget. So if you use Alumilite, I'm running out of room, clear, cast, you'll go to moldputty.com and use the code teacups, room, 15% off for, surprisingly, 15% off your order. So, and I'm using this board down here, so if you guys need to, you can screenshot and save it for later. I find it's easier when you have all the info in kind of one place. I'm not sure if they ship to Canada, but you can call. I know they do military discounts if you can provide proof. So that's really awesome. But you can't combine discounts, so you can't do military and 15%. And I believe the 15% is more than the military. So forget that I said that. So fun. I almost started singing. This is really quiet in here. My glitter's in the shape of a heart. Alright, so sometimes when I'm doing this, I do it all randomly, but I feel like there's like too much of a space here, so I'm going to stick some glitter there. And I am putting one more color on here, so again, I don't want to flood it with these other colors, but I do want to make sure that I get these other colors on here pretty well. So most of this has probably dried enough. Here's a little spot that I could use some light pink up here. Oop, there goes my tool into my floor on my carpet. That's great. Give me just a second, guys. I don't want to get paint dried on my carpet. So I think I'm good with my light pink. And I'm going to put that back in my jar, hopefully without making too much of a mess. It's okay if you've missed a lot, because I'm going to do 2 cups back to back on this live, mainly because I have 2 orders and they're both for the dotted ombre cups, so why not? So if you missed and you have time to watch me finish, which is not going to be too much longer, then you can stay for the however much you want of the next cup. So this last color is Silver Me Timbers. And I don't care to waste my metallic acrylic paint on here. So I'm going to use just a gray color. So I'm going to bring my little paper back over here, and I don't want to get pink in my silver, so. And as I said, repeating myself yet again, in a perfect world, I would wait for each color to dry and then dry brush so none of this is here in the white when I go back and do the other dots. But for the sake of the live, I'm not going to make you guys wait. The name, I usually don't do the name in glitter vinyl. You can. I only do glitter vinyl if they request it. So let me get a drink. All right, so on to the silver. I usually try to do a dark, a medium, and a light color. So this paint is thick too. If you have someone who wants this design from you, then if they're asking you for color suggestions, I would definitely throw in a very bright color if you have a dark color, because I just love the look of the contrast between the two. And hopefully by the time I finish the next cup, this will be dry enough for me to dry brush so you guys can see what it looks like without all this junk everywhere all over it. I usually wait 30 minutes to an hour before it's dry enough to dry brush. So honestly, not too terribly long. I'm gonna put a little more paint. Oh, I know I shouldn't be drinking energy drinks. It's been a really rough day and I am beyond tired. And I have orders to pack tonight after this, so don't be hating on me too much. Where do I put the name on the top of the cup? I would put it up here. Dotting tools right here for you. Amazon. I will pull up the picture, a picture on the iPad and show you guys of what a finished one looks like, since I don't have one that's finished with the name on hand. Excuse me. So, give me just a second. Actually, if you're in my group, you should see it. It's in the cover photo. Okay. So, this is my cup. This one's pink, purple, and silver. It's the same silver, Silver Me Timbers. The purple is I Lie Like You a Lot. And the pink is VI Pink. But this is how the name goes on. And this is what a finished dotted ombre tumbler looks like. The green one beside it is Ashley Martin's tumbler, and it's really gorgeous. So, now let me get set back up here. All right. And I will link everything when I'm done with this. I did not put any links up right now because I wanted you guys here watching how I do this and not off buying other stuff and missing this. I haven't done it on a 32 ounce, but I've done it on a 20 ounce, a 10 ounce, a wine glass, 30 ounce, a 40 ounce, and a sippy cup. Kind of done it on everything. I don't have any 32 ounces though. And there goes my dotting tool again. Oh, my hair is on. I'm going to use this box to hold my tool, hopefully. It's not going to work. So this is it. I kind of, honestly, I love the chunky to fine ombre cups. I really do. And I saw one with the dot glitter. Obviously, everybody's done them. And I wanted to do it, but I didn't have the colors that I wanted in the dots initially. And I wanted my bigger circles to be bigger than the dots were. So I tried to figure out an easy way to do it. That's when I used what some people are calling the Mears method, where I cut the vinyl, I put glue on the vinyl and I glitter it, and then I remove it and put it on here. But to layer it, it would not work unless I used multiple layers of epoxy to separate my glitter dots. and I don't like doing that. I try my best to not have to put any more than 2 layers of epoxy on my cups. And since I'm doing 3 colors, it would be a lot more than just 2 or 3. So I'm gonna put a little more paint. The top is just painted white. The whole thing is painted white. I actually, funny story about this camera view that you mentioned that. I made a second Facebook account and I named it Teacups Live or something like that. And my plan was to have one camera looking at me. So I've got a few friends in these groups who are hard of hearing, but they can read lips. So I was going to have one looking at me and then have the other one, you know how you can invite a friend and y'all can do side by side. I was gonna have my other one down facing like this one, so you could read my lips and you can also see what I'm doing. But you can't do that in the same room because the feedback is horrible. It sounds so awful. So I did try to do a split video like that, but it just didn't work out at all. No, I do not use acrylic paint for adhesives on all my glitter clips. Heck no. Just on certain ones, because it does have a very fast dry time. And as you can see, the bottom, I didn't paint the whole cup with acrylic paint and then try to glitter it before it all dried. I just did this small portion on the bottom, so I did have enough time to get that done without the paint drying. But no, I am a Mod Podge lover. I suck at epoxy method. Suck, suck, suck. All right, I'm gonna use a smaller dot tool. A little more paint. I'm only putting more paint. I really, honestly, probably could not use more paint, but I'm only putting a little more paint because, ooh, sorry. I just want to have good coverage on my dot tool, and the paint was spreading out. And I'm almost done. Oh, I did answer your question. It was, I don't have 32 ounces, but I've done dots on every other size that I have. 20, 30, 40, wine, sippy. I haven't done it on a 36 ounce water bottle, but those things are really hard to get on my turner. And I am not for hand turning if I don't have to. So what I'm going to do is, this is pretty much it. So I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. I'm gonna put a couple more colors up here because this just needs more. And then I'm gonna do a second cup with you guys with different colors, same way. So if you're bored of me, you may go. You now know my ways. If you want to stay, you are welcome. And then when I'm finished with that second cup, I will dry brush this cup so you can see what it looks like without all the glitter everywhere. Oh my gosh, my husband, he would be so fun to watch doing these dots. I completely agree with you. Okay, so time to clean up my mess. I'm going to, let me wipe off my dotting tools before it dries. And I'm going to clean up this mess real quick so you guys aren't waiting a terribly long time. So I'm going to toss these 2 pieces of paper on top. And give me just a second. Okay. I don't have my lid to this one, so I'm going to put it aside. All right, so like we're starting from the beginning. Make sure you have your paper underneath. For those of you who missed the beginning, I have a silver Sharpie to mark my tumbler where I want to put my painter's tape. I have the 3 colors I'm using on this one. I've got a teal, turquoise, and a gold. And I'm using acrylic paints. I try to match my acrylic paints to my glitter colors. So I just have a gold, a teal, and a turquoise. They don't have to be perfect. I have my dotting tools. Yes, I have a bajillion of these. I have blue, green, and pink. So I'm gonna use these. I'm gonna get my, my paintbrush. It's got pink on it, but it's fine. Got my paintbrush, and that's pretty much it. So I don't measure exactly where I put the lines on my cups. I do use Ozark Trail, so if you wanted to be consistent every time, what you could do is you could put your pin right at the top of this logo, and that could be your measurement every time, so they're all the same. I'm just gonna stack 2 glitter containers on top of one another. My glitters are from me. I am very magical with all my glitters. So what I'm doing to draw my line, I have 2 glitter containers stacked on top of one another. They're 1-ounce containers. I'm gonna put my silver Sharpie, rest it on top, and hold it in place. I'm gonna take my tumbler. It's spray painted white. It doesn't matter if it's gloss, satin, whatever you want. And I'm going to gently press it against my Sharpie. And I'm not moving my Sharpie, but I'm turning my tumbler in a circle. So I now have my line on my tumbler. Hey, Christina, I'm just starting the second one. So if you missed the first one, here it is all again. And I still have 300 people up in here. I thought everybody would leave me. I'm gonna take a drink real quick. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab my painter's tape. Use whatever tape you want. Electrical tape, that's cool. So when I tape this, I'm going to place my tape just above my line. So that way I am guaranteed to have my line covered with my paint that I'm putting on my bottom. And I kind of did I had a little overspray right there, and that's okay because it's going to be covered with paint and glitter. Just joining, that's okay, I just started. So all I have is my primed cup with white paint. I drew a line on it and I put my tape because this is where my bottom color is going to go. So I said before, I like using 3 colors because it's not a lot of colors on one. Obviously use however many or however little you'd like. And I like to do the bottom color the darker of all of them because I think the contrast with the lighter colors on the top looks really good. And I do the vinyl name one of the lighter colors that's not on the bottom. So for my first color, I'm going to take a piece of, this is just printer paper. I usually use 11 by 14, but I'm out. So it's just regular printer paper. And I'm gonna fold it to make it a little thicker. You guys are crazy. I have tried using just the white Ozark Trails, but I still have to sand it down a little and spray paint it beforehand because the coating they have, the paint doesn't really have anything to grab onto. So what I'm gonna do, silver with blue and black would look awesome. I think it really would too. What I'm gonna do right now, I haven't used this color yet, is get paint all over myself. Sounds about right. I'm gonna paint the bottom of my cup, and I didn't really wash out my brush. Still has pink on it, but it's not like covered in pink, so that's okay. So to put the color on the bottom, I use acrylic paint, and I'm actually gonna do my brush one more time in the water. I do acrylic paint on the bottom for 2 reasons. I use it as my base color and I use it as my adhesive. That way I'm not waiting a super long time for Mod Podge to dry. And I try to get a color that's the closest to the glitter color that I'm using as I can. So if for whatever reason my glitter does not stick to a little part, it won't be a big deal. It's not like you're gonna see white through a dark glitter. You'll see a blue through a dark glitter in this case, or teal or turquoise or whatever you want to call it. So let's begin. I've got my tape on there. Make sure my tape is as flat as possible. I'm going to just put a little bit of, let me shake it first. I can't remember if I shook it. I've been talking too much. Look at that bubble. I'm gonna put a little bit of paint on here and spread it around. And before I worry about putting my glitter on, I want to make sure that I have 100% coverage on the bottom. So I want to make sure that I have no white showing through. And I'm not doing a super thick layer. This is super, super thin. The object is to keep everything one layer if possible. The bottom I do 2 layers, kind of 1 layer, because the first one's still not completely dry, just to ensure that everything is covered, because I do not want to do 2 layers of glitter. I think it's wasting glitter and time, really. So I actually have a lot more on here than I wanted, which is good, so I don't have to put any more on. So when I'm putting my paint on the bottom, make sure that I have it everywhere, and I do the bottom as well, because my customers, you know, they drink out of these sometimes, and you will see the bottom. So if I have designs that go to the bottom, most of the time they go over the bottom too. These are, I don't know, this one's a Martha Stewart acrylic, and I've got a Folk Art acrylic, and I've got Walmart acrylics. Whatever brand of acrylic paint you want. You can get them at Walmart for 50 cents. So do with that information as you please. All right, so I have everything covered, both. So what I'm gonna do is go around, and I'm just gonna go around. I'm probably gonna start where the logo is, so I make sure I get everything. And I'm gonna make sure that I have glitter, make sure I have paint everywhere, and then I'm going to immediately apply my glitter while my paint is still wet. So, and the reason you go around again also is to make sure you don't have any clumps of paint, because it will show through when you put your glitter on there. Your glitter is gonna stick to it wherever the paint is. So I'm gonna start on the bottom, and I'm just gonna turn my cup as I am pouring. And don't be shy. Get that glitter on here. Get it everywhere. You don't want to, I don't like doing 2 layers, and I don't seal my glitter because I don't even want to chance dulling this stuff. It's way too pretty. Should have grabbed my. So after you get it on there, just go back through, see if there are any places that you may need to add a little more, and add a little more. If you're my husband, you would just smack this thing on the table. And pretty sure I have everything. I'm just double checking. And for this, I do remove my tape pretty much as soon as I'm sure that I have glitter everywhere I want it, because I don't want to chance pulling the glitter up once it dries. Okay, so I'm gonna put this back, clean this up. You guys, what, I don't know what color this is. This is Till Me You Love Me. It's very similar to Welcome to Miami, but Welcome to Miami is a pearlescent. This is not. Oh, I'm still using this. I don't want to leave. Here, let's see. Here's the Alumilite code for any of you that use it. All right, so, oh, good grief. I just got paint all over my desk corner. Sorry, I got paint on my table and I'm not all about that life. All right, let me get some of this out of my brush. And again, when you're cleaning your brush out, don't pull on the bristles. That's a big, big no-no. That's a great way to screw up your brush. I'll finish cleaning it when I'm done with my love. Okay, so now here's where your handy dandy little folded paper comes in handy. I'm gonna put the same paint. I'm gonna do my dots now. The code is Teacups 15% off, all capitalized, and don't forget your percent sign. And all my tools. Oh wait, I'm using my pink ones, it doesn't matter. So, whoops, sorry. Okay, I'm using these. Hi, Miss Late to the Party. Okay, so this paint is a little thick as well. I usually, if I feel like I have to dilute the paints at all, I'll do it before this step, but for the sake of the live, I'm kind of skipping a few things that I would usually do. So, take the tape off. And now, we're gonna go through and do some dots. Nope, Teacups 15% off, OFF at the end. And that's for 15% off your Alumilite Amazing Clear Cast if you use it from moldputty.com. So I'm going to, sorry, I just did this without thinking. So what I'm doing is I'm dipping my air turned back on, sorry. It's gonna make a big old mess again. I'm dipping my dotting tool into the paint, and then I'm dotting anywhere from 3 to 5 dots, and then I'm putting glitter on it before the paint has any time to dry whatsoever. That way I don't have to go back with another layer of adhesive or Mod Podge or paint later to put the glitter on. I'm just using the acrylic paint while it is still wet as my adhesive. Part of my writing's cut off. Maybe that will fix it. And this is all random. I have no rhyme or reason as to why I put dots where or what sizes, none of that. I just put them on there. I've done a cup like this with just one color, so I would normally do more dots in that case. But since I'm using 3 colors on this one, I'm gonna make sure that I have enough room to add the other colors without really crowding the top too much. So that's all I'm doing. And I'm using my finger so I don't, I guess, draw a line with my dot tool by accident. And the more dots you do with the one dip in paint that you have, the smaller they get. So I'm gonna dip it in paint once. That's why I use this kind of big one. So at the bottom they're bigger, and as I go up, they get smaller. So if you want to, you can do all the big ones, and then you can do your other dot tools with the smaller ones. But that's not really necessary. I don't like to dirty more than I really need to. Let me read this comment. Do you always do paint only on the top, or 2 colors of glitter then dots on the top? You're really sweet, but I have no idea what you're asking me. I've done it to where I've had glitter bottom and glitter top. I was requested to make one with Girl's Best Friend on top and a hot pink on bottom, and then dots in between. And I did. I made it, but I was never paid for it. So I ended up just gifting it to a friend. But it's a lot easier to do it this way, because if you've got glitter on the top instead of just white on the top, then when you see all this glitter, they can easily get stuck in your white, even if you dry brush. And I try not to have to do a layer of epoxy before my dots, because I want everything to be as flat as possible. So no need for sanding, no need for multiple layers of epoxy just to get it smooth. Just keep it simple. What color is this? This is Till Me You Love Me. Alright, so I'm going to clean up my mess now. And we're going to move on to the next color. Oh, acrylic definitely dries faster than Mod Podge when you apply glitter to it, or when you use it, really. Some Mod Podge does dry pretty fast, but acrylic dries pretty stinking fast. So, there was one. What's my next one? This one. This is one of my favorite colors. It's just a really pretty light teal color. It's called the Kraken. Well, that's an ugly K. Just a second, I need a drink. So, in a perfect world, here I am saying it again, I would wait about an hour. 30 minutes really is good enough for this to completely dry, and then I would dry brush it to get all this off before I do more dots. But since we're live, I don't want everybody waiting on here, and I don't want to do like a 6-hour live, so we're not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do my next color after I clean my tool, which I didn't do. Look what I just did. I do the name after my first layer of epoxy. So, because I don't seal my glitter, but I dry brush my glitter pretty well, so I usually don't have a problem with glitter traveling at all. But on the off chance that glitter might still be loose in here, I do my name after my first layer of epoxy. That way there's no glitter that's on top of the name. Release the Kraken. I'm gonna sound crazy for those of you who are gonna be watching on YouTube. Oh, where's my paper? Okay, so just a light teal. I have like a light teal bluey color. Yay, it's open. And this is the perfect consistency. It just kind of made its own little perfect circle. And that's what we want. Just perfect. All right, so same deal as before. Take your dotting tool, dip it in, put your dots on your cup, anywhere you want, about 3 to 5 dots, and then apply your glitter straight to the wet paint. Oh my gosh, it's making a mess. I'm right under where my air comes out because I don't have anywhere else that I can do lives. It's blowing my glitter everywhere. No, the cup is not painted with acrylic. It is spray painted white. You can paint it with acrylic, but I don't. The font that I use on these is called Charlotte. I bought it a long time ago. I honestly don't know where I bought it, but it's called Charlotte. I'm kind of a font hoarder. I try not to bug you guys in the groups a lot when you post cups that have really pretty fonts. But every now and then I'll see one that just takes my breath away and I have to have it. I might not even use it, but I have to have it because you never know when you'll need it, right? Oh my goodness. I'm just making a big old mess. So I am really excited about putting that gold on here because I think it'll really pop against this darker teal turquoise background. Oh, I can't stand this anymore. Look, I gotta get a box to block this wind from my desk. It's like I die a little inside every time glitter falls. Sorry, I know I'm blocking some words, but I'll show you guys if you still want to see what I have written before I turn this off. And any links to anything, dadgummit, it still didn't work. I'll post, once I finish this, I'll update the post with them, and then I'll also put the links on YouTube. Oh, of course. I get my box set up and the air turns off. That way I know some of you can't watch with sound on, so. I actually, I have used acrylic paints for years, and I've used dotting tools for quite a while. And I got really big into the rock art, where you find a smooth rock, you paint it, and then you leave it somewhere for someone else to find. And then they find it, take a picture of it, share it in a Facebook group, and then they hide it for someone else to find. So I do the mandalas or mandalas, or however you say them. Pecan, tomato, tomato. So I figured, why not use them on tumblers? Works just fine. Oh, I'm not going to be in the same spot forever. I am in the process of rearranging my office, and I will have my table elsewhere. Not soon enough, but it will be elsewhere, so I won't have to worry about my glitter flying everywhere in here when I do lives. Hi, Lydia. So this, I think I'm about good with the light teal color. I think I'm about ready to start doing the gold. I'm gonna put a few up here though. I'm gonna use my smaller one. So just do a few at a time and then add your glitter so you don't chance your paint dots drying before your glitter touches them, because you don't want to see the paint, you want to see the glitter. My shirt is super cute. How can you even see my shirt? All right, I think that's good, so I'm going to clean up this mess. But thank you. Oh, that's right, you were here at the beginning. And I'm just going to be super, save it all, save it all. Okay, so my last color is gold. And that's Tangled. Where's my... Okay, where is my metallic paint? I'm gonna do it up here, get out of the way. Perfect consistency. And I'm gonna clean off my tools and reuse them. If you want to go through the trouble of dotting your epoxy instead of paint and doing it that way, be my guest. But I think that would be a lot more, not trouble, but there's a lot more room for error that way. Yes, I will be doing a live tomorrow. Well, it's an event. Tomorrow is going to be my watercolor ink flow technique. It will be in the Teacups Ink With Me group, but again, it will also be on YouTube after I finish it. If this was not live, I would wait probably about half an hour between glitters, and I would dry brush them before I move to the next one, so this isn't all over the white when I'm dotting the next color. But I don't want to do that right now because you guys will be here for quite a while. So I just want to make sure that I'm not touching any wet spots. Okay, so do you see why I wait? Because sometimes these don't have complete coverage. So this is my lighter color and that gold is stuck to it. So I'm gonna have to go over those. YouTube channel is the Cuptisseristas. So for the sake of this cup, it is for an order. I'm gonna stop. I'm not gonna do the gold until the rest of it's dried completely. And to be sure that I have complete coverage, I'm going to douse it in my light teal color, and then I'm gonna check the other cup to see if it's ready to be dry brushed so I can show you guys. The group is called Teacups, the letter TCUPS, Ink With Me. So I'm just gonna go around this whole cup with this one color because this is the color that the gold was sticking to. And sometimes the glitter just sticks to other glitters and it might not even be a thing. It could easily come off when I dry brush it, but I really don't even want to chance that. So I'm gonna put this aside. I'm gonna wait till those dry, and then I am going to dry brush it completely before I do my gold on it. So I'm gonna clean this up and we're gonna check on the pink one. And for my brush, I actually just use a Mod Podge brush. So let me go grab it because I did not bring it with me. Oh, I have glitter all over the place. And I'm going to grab my garbage can so I don't make a big old mess. But first, I'm gonna check and make sure that my cup, and when I check, I always check on the bottom because if I need to do any touch-ups, if it's not completely dry and I screw it up, it's gonna be on the bottom. So I'd rather touch up on the bottom than have something that's gonna be on the surface. But it is completely ready. So since that was the first color we did and the silver was last, I'm gonna check a small dot and that's not going anywhere. So I'm going to, I'm gonna put this down. I'm gonna move you guys to where you can see me dry brushing. There we go. Can everyone see my cup? The code for the epoxy is good through Halloween, end of day Halloween. So everything has to be capitalized. You need teacups, 15% off, all capital letters. The colors on this cup are, they're right here. Charlie Rose, Briar Rose, and Silver Me Timbers. So it's a red-pink mix, a soft pink, and a silver. So when I dry brush, I take my Mod Podge brush, and I just brush it until no glitter comes off. So any loose glitter that is sitting there that would float up into the top while I epoxy will not be there anymore. And therefore I don't have to seal anything. I don't have to wait for the sealer to dry. I don't have to chance dulling my glitter. I don't have to chance the sealer reacting with my epoxy and making it wavy, which would make me sand even more. All that's just not even an option when you dry brush. And so, as I said before, I would do this between colors, and in doing so, any that falls off I can put back in my jar, so you're even saving more glitter. But I don't want to contaminate my other glitter colors. I don't want to get the dark pink in my light pink or silver in my dark, so I'm not saving my glitter right now. And then dry brush the top. And honestly, just dry brush until nothing else comes off. And after you dry brush, sometimes that one was not ready. So I'll have to go back and fix that. I don't want it. Sometimes after you dry brush, you'll see like open spots like this could use more of a different color. And you can always go back in and add some more. So, this is your cup. I will have to fix that one spot. I think the paint was a little too thick, so it wasn't dry before I dry brushed. I was just in a little bit of a hurry. But there's your cup. So I will end this live so you guys don't have to hear me talk to myself a lot. I will answer any questions you have that I've missed here on Facebook, and I'm also going to save this live and upload it to YouTube. Give me a couple of days because I'm kind of busy this weekend. And I'll post something in this group when I'm done with it so you guys can watch it, save it, whatever you want to do with it. That's pretty much it. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Till next time.